There it is. Alright, I'll be back.
Let's kill him before the next vanish.
Alright. GG's.
Hey, Karn!
What's up, guys? Karn here. Today I'm going to be doing a dungeon tanking guide specifically for Prot warriors in TBC Classic. For the purpose of this video, I'm just going to assume you already have a base knowledge of tanking, like you're level 70, maybe you've tanked a couple heroics, maybe even a Karazhan. So that's the knowledge I'm going to need going forward from you. So I'm going to start right off on this pool. You're going to see I pop these trinkets right from the start. It's Dabiri's Enigma and the Icon of Unyielding Courage. And I pop them both just so I have the maximum threat I get from that very first shield slam. Now, something you absolutely need is a fundamental of the Prot warrior rotation, which is literally nothing but you want your shield slam, then revenge, then 2 devastates, then you go back to shield slam. And that is your rotation. You only add in heroic strikes if it's not going to sacrifice whether or not you can hit shield slam on cooldown. But hitting those trinkets at the same time is huge because you always want to stack your cooldowns. So whenever you get Bloodlust, pop your trinkets, pop your Mighty Rage Potion, all of that. Another thing that's important that you're about to see is as a Prot warrior, you absolutely want to have engineering, specifically for the dynamite and the bombs and stuff. Fell Iron bombs are absolutely incredible. For this run and for most dungeon tanking, I usually just use these dense dynamites because I had a lot left over from Classic. But in any case where I do craft more and whenever I'm playing in Karazhan and stuff like that, I typically go for the Fell Iron bomb just because they have a potential to do a lot more damage and give you a significant boost in AoE threat right on the pool. You always want to do those bombs right at the start. It's big. Another reason why you want engineering as a Prot warrior and like a tank in general, or at least for warriors and paladins, I don't know about druids, but in the next phase of content, in phase 2, you're also going to be crafting the Tankatronic goggles from engineering. It's going to be your best in slot piece for your head. So the sooner you can craft that, the less you have to worry about your best in slot for at least one of the items. You can get that off of your list very quickly. Now, something I want to point out is in terms of add-ons and your UI and things like that, you absolutely want to have a situation like this where your party frames is as close to the center of your screen as you can. That way you can quickly make decisions on the fly in terms of pacing, of how much mana does my healer have? Is he running out? Do my DPS need a second before I go on to the next pool? Does my healer need a second before I go into the next pool? These purple dots you see right here, these squares, is my shout buffs. So whether it's battle shout or commanding shout, doesn't affect it, but it tells me who has these buffs and also the timer on their buff, like how long it's gonna last. This mob here I didn't really want sheeped, but he already did it, so I just went ahead and just ran with it anyways. But something you're going to see here is an ability not many Prot warriors use, especially in dungeons, that they need to. I'm going to put him here and then I concussive blow him. You see the timer going? And while he's stunned, I move on to the next pack, pick it up, because our healer has full mana. Our DPS is going to stay on that target and keep attacking it and kill it. And most importantly, let me back up and show you why I did this, is right here. You can see my threat meter right there. I had a significant threat lead to where by the time that mob dies, it's going to attack his way. He's going to stun it, and then the mob's going to be dead. You see they took a little bit of damage, but that's fine. They're all okay. And that's a decision and pacing that you specifically need to have some experience in as a tank. Also notice that I disarmed this Blood Warder here. Disarm and Concussive Blow are abilities you need to be using on like as close to cooldown as possible. It's going to make your runs so much smoother. If there are mobs, say, in Shattered Halls that do a mortal strike, disarm them. It's that simple. It's really that it makes your fights so much easier. It makes your runs a lot more consistent, and overall you'll be able to clear content at a faster pace. Note how I almost used the dynamite twice there, but I thought it'd be better to just wait until all of the mobs were grouped up. And then you see I now went into it. This run I did struggle with a little bit because they all just went into their AoE like crazy. So I stunned one mob I didn't have aggro on, which is an important use of that tool. It's a really good way to use that. So then I come out of this disorient, I taunt the one I don't have, like, I taunt the one I had less aggro on, and then I went on to that mob. That mob was almost dead, so I didn't really care about it. You don't want to waste a taunt or a shield slam or something on a mob that's already gonna die. Really, at that point, you don't have to worry about it. The DPS are gonna kill it. The healer can heal through it. That's really no problem. Healer's above 50% mana, so it's fine. I pull on this next pack, and you're gonna see something here that's also really important in terms of consistency and keeping the pace going. Is once we kill one of these mobs, let's see, I hit the disarm again. Once one of these mobs is down and we're towards the end of this pull, I start stockpiling rage. You always want 100 rage before the next pack, or maybe not the next pack is not that important, but definitely before the boss, which is what we're about to do. We're about to fight one of the mini bosses that drops the keys in this heroic Mechanar. So you see I stopped casting my abilities because I have a significant threat lead, and worst case scenario I can just taunt before it dies, although I probably wouldn't because it's already gonna die. Now, depending on how long it takes for your group to get onto the next pool, and do this in raids too, always have as close to max rage you can going into the fight. But if you get to about 70-80 rage, just pop a blood rage and you'll be fine. And something there that I did that you always want to do going into the fight, I pop my trinkets, I do shield block, heroic strike, shield slam. That way it sends me straight into my rotation. Once that GCD comes around, revenge is ready to go, so it puts me on that path of shield slam, revenge, devastate, devastate, over and over. Now, take a look at our threat meter here. You see Novaria's pushing hard. It was towards this time here that he asked me if I wanted him to stop, like throttle his DPS, so that I could maintain threat, and I told him no. You absolutely don't want to fall into that habit of telling your DPS to wait as the tank. It's your job to hold threat. That's why you're here. So you want people that push your threat. You want to play with those guys, because having your back up against that wall is ultimately going to make you a better tank. You start analyzing your tools. How can I work around this? Can I taunt this mob? Do I have a mighty rage potion where I can just start dumping heroic strikes between all of my GCDs? What can I do here? And it's that type of focus and that experience and stuff that's ultimately going to make you a much better tank. So if you can, try and avoid telling people to slow their DPS, because you're just going to cripple yourself in the long run. You want the challenge. Now, a big reason why I'm making this video is because I feel like there are a lot of people out there that would tank and would otherwise be successful tanks, but they never really allow themselves to get into it because they feel like it's too stressful of a position, or maybe they're a little intimidated by it and they feel like it's a lot of responsibility behind it. And I'm here to tell you guys, it's really not. I always tell people that being a DPS in Classic is much harder than being a tank. Really, all I have to do is make sure the mobs are attacking me, which is just your standard rotation anyways, which varies between maybe AoE, single target. That's really the only variability that has. And then defensives and taunts, that's it. That's really it. DPS have a lot, well, DPS and healers have much more to be concerned about. So hopefully this guide and these videos help people really loosen up with their tanking and maybe not take it as seriously, and hopefully I clear up that aura of intimidation that tanking seems to have on you if you are one of those people that's intimidated to tank or intimidated by tanking. Because it's really not that difficult. As you saw in the clip right before my intro of Moros was at 30% health. Most people would still call that like a pretty good amount of health for the boss. Like you're almost there. You're not even at execute phase, so there's still a little bit of while to go. And I completely walked away from my computer. I was fully confident knowing that that boss was already dead, just because of my experience tanking Karazhan and my comfort with the group, and I knew their skill levels, and most importantly is the threat meter. The threat meter is your holy Bible. You always want to be looking at that as you go, because it's going to inform your decisions. If you have a massive threat lead on a target, that's when you start playing more defensively. You really don't benefit anymore from pushing your threat higher and higher and higher if it's not really necessary. You could say that, you know, doing the max DPS you can is helpful because it takes down the boss faster, but it really depends on what you're trying to accomplish there. But anyways, that's going to be the end of this guide. If you guys want any more tips, I was trying to focus on more of the nuances of tanking that they don't really go into on your typical guides on YouTube. So if you guys have any questions, anything you want me to dive into, I would love to hear about it, and I would love to talk about it more. Even if it's sort of add-on related, if it's maybe gameplay, if it's gearing you'd like to know about, anything. Just let me know down in the comments, and I will 100% get to it as soon as I can. Thank you guys for watching. I hope this helped. Let me know if you try tanking. Let me know how it goes. Have a good one.